you back to Prime Morning. My name is Asiodua Akomia. It's time for News Flash. It's time for us to find out what some of the newspapers are reporting this morning. My guests are also seated for us to pick the topics and talk about them. And this is the point where I say get interactive with us on all our social media platforms. Go on Facebook and type Joy Prime without the TV. Not only should you comment in the comment section, please share the link. Let people know that we are on. Our WhatsApp line also is very active, so if you would prefer to send it to our WhatsApp line, the WhatsApp line will pop up on your screen pretty shortly for you to do the needful. And so what I would say is that from what we picked from the motivation video, you can do anything and everything you wish you want to do, provided you put your mind to it. What are you planning on doing? Be very optimistic about it and take a step towards it. All right? Okay, so it is time for us to get started with our newspapers. And then right after that, I'm going to introduce my guests to you, and then we would delve into the topics. But before I get into the newspapers, do you have a busy schedule? Do you sometimes want to go to the market and buy almost everything you would wish to stock up your storeroom with? But you just can't because you're too busy? Don't worry. Makana Market says they want you to contact them. All you have to do is to just be in the comfort of your homes and your offices, go on Google Play Store or the App Store and type Makana Market. Download the app and get shopping. If you are worried about the prices, that maybe the prices would be slightly higher than on the markets, nope, that's not it. Makana Market is giving you farm gate prices. So you can get something to buy from the app for as low as 1 Ghana cedi. Yes, 1 Ghana cedi. You can get something to buy from the app. So download the app now from Google Play Store or the App Store and get shopping with Makana Markets. They are saying that like I said, in the comfort of your homes and your offices, you can get shopping for anything you wish to buy from the market. And the cool thing is that they will deliver at your doorstep. And so you can follow them on all their social media platforms as well. It is Makana Market, or you can visit their website at www.makanamarket.com. A huge thank you to Nutri-Snacks Oats Digestive as well. Nutri-Snacks is the perfect and the great option for those of you that don't want to eat much, okay? You don't want to eat much, but you want to enjoy something delicious at the same time and healthy, okay? And healthy. Nutri-Snacks Oats Digestive is a great option for you. It is full of fiber, nutrients, vitamins. It's not just for kids, it's for adults as well. So you can opt for Nutri-Snacks Oats Digestive. Now let's get started into what the newspapers are reporting this morning. We are going to start with the Daily Guide. Daily Guide is our first newspaper for this morning, and the front page reads, Cecilia Dapa versus OSP Palava deepens. IGP fights Atachia. Frimpong Boateng, Galamsey claims empty. And then we have Allen woos Kennedy to butterfly movement. NSS to be made authority. This is from President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and that's it for the Daily Guide. For the next newspaper, we are taking Ghanaian Times. Ghanaian Times is the next newspaper. And the banner headline is, After 50 years, NSS to become authority. This is from President Akufo-Addo. And then we have Theresa Kufuor to be given state burial on November 16, which is the former First Lady Theresa Kufuor. Next story, we have boy 15 arrested for allegedly killing grandmother at Bonesua. This story was massively trending on social media. It is still trending on social media, videos of it and everything, which is pretty sad that a 15-year-old would commit such a crime. Next story, we have parliamentary probe into leaked tape. Committee can't do open-ended, wide-ranging probe of entire police service. IGP legal team insists. The next newspaper, we are taking the New Crusading Guide. The New Crusading Guide is the next newspaper. On the front page, we have Frimpong Boateng has no evidence to support Galamsey allegations against. This is from Attorney General after scrutiny of police dockets. And then government to hold seminar on disinformation 19 October. Coker cautions NPP against attacks on Akufo-Addo. And then Alan's exit regrettable. Okwe's committee must sit up. It's from Ifri Yakoto. And the McDan Foundation donates dialysis machines to 37 military hospital. Oh, okay. This is a very good one. And this is actually part of the topics that we'll be discussing this morning. Next story, we have Ghana fully committed to improving lives of women in cross-border trade. Minister, okay. Next newspaper, we are taking The Finder. The Finder is the next newspaper. On the front page, we have EcoBank Ghana appoints Joanna Mensah as acting MD. Frimpong Boateng fails to back Galamsey report with evidence. This is from Attorney General. And then dismissal fear grips UG Legon, University of Ghana Legon students, level 200, 300 students with CGPA below 1 to be sacked. Ooh, that's very sad. That's very sad. Okay. Alan's exit regrettable. Okwe's committee must sit up. This is from Dr. Akoto. UTV condemns attack, says it won't be deterred. And that's it for The Finder. The next newspaper is the Ghanaian Publisher. On the front page, we have Bawumia widens lead in NPP presidential primary. Okay. Banner headline is AG justifies rejection of Galamsey report. Frimpong Boateng provided no evidence. ADB MD grabs agribusiness award. UTV breaks silence over studio invasion. The next newspaper, we have The Chronicle. The Chronicle is the next newspaper. And on the front page, we have Preach Religious Tolerance. Bahama tells Muslim and Christian leaders. Next one, national service personnel are not errand boys and girls. That's from Speaker of Parliament. Ha! Those of us, this matter. If you're NSS personnel, they would easily be sending you here and there on errands. Oh, go buy this, go buy coffee broke man for me, go and do this and all that. Which is pretty disheartening because that is not what the students are there for. They are not there to be sent on errands. Anyways, continuing, November 4, electoral integrity must not be compromised. Ifri Yakoto says so. And MOL to hold seminar on impact of disinformation on peace and scrutiny. Okay, so it's MOI. Yeah, the Ministry of Information, right. To hold seminar on impact of disinformation on peace and scrutiny. And then our final newspaper for this morning is the Daily Dispatch. On the front page, we have Kwame Efriye's funeral. Reshuffle looms Opoku Prempeh to be moved from Energy, John Kuma to be promoted. MPP UK declares support for Bawumia. Chairman Sabonsu serves notice that majority will not support minority to drag Bank of Ghana governor to Parliament. Kennedy on why K performed poorly at super delegates elections. Okay, and which is in relation to Alan Chairman thing. All right. So my guests are ready. They are seated and poised for this conversation. Representing the NDC from the communications team, I have Adele Umar Ibrahim. Good morning, Adele.
Good morning, Asidu.
How are you?
I'm good. How was your day?
It's going. It has begun. Okay, you know.
His voice has suddenly changed.
You know, I was about to say that. Adele, what's up with your voice?
Asidu is doing magic.
Oh my.
Yeah, she's doing magic.
Okay. And you have heard his voice, Dr. Ezekiel Ejekum Obeng, who is also a communications team member from the New Patriotic Party. Good morning.
Say that. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm sounding better.
Yeah, sounding better.
We obviously would Adele this morning, so he's quite sober.
We promise.
He's quite sober this morning.
Right. So yesterday, the former MP for Ningo Prom E.T. Mensah's mortal remains arrived in Ghana in the evening, and so for those of you who are not aware of it, so that's it. That's an information for you that former Ningo Prom MP, Honorable E.T. Mensah, who died less than 2 weeks ago, his body has finally arrived in the country, and it did last night.
That's true.
Yes, from South Africa. And so our deepest and our heartfelt condolences goes out to the entire family, the National Democratic Congress, and everybody who loved E.T. Mensah. Now let's get started with our topics for discussion. Last week, Kolebu Teaching Hospital did announce the increment in dialysis treatment, and it caused a whole lot of frenzy on social media. It was quite alarming to find out that even at 300 Ghana cedis, people were finding it difficult to pay and get treatment. That is, people with kidney failures were finding it difficult to pay to get treatment. And here's a situation where you have to do this about 3 times, at least 3 times a week. So at that time, when it was 300 Ghana cedis, you would be paying approximately 900 Ghana cedis every single week to get dialysis treatment. And then Kolebu Teaching Hospital comes out to say that the prices have increased to a whopping 765 Ghana cedis. 765 Ghana cedis. Like I said, it caused a whole lot of frenzy on social media. People were not too pleased about it. Now, news that is coming out right now is that celebrated heart surgeon and the founder of the National Cardiothoracic Center, Professor Frimpong Boateng, has thrown his absolute weight behind Kolebu Teaching Hospital's decision to increase the price of dialysis treatments, because he says that the inputs that are needed to keep the treatments going are expensive. That's what Professor Frimpong Boateng says. And so viewers are urged to please get interactive with us on all our social media platforms. Our WhatsApp line is very active. You can go to our Facebook page as well, and you can send in your comments in relation to this. What do you think about Professor Frimpong Boateng throwing his weight or supporting 100% the decision of Kolebu Teaching Hospital increasing the price of dialysis treatment? Let me come to you. Let me start with you, Dr. Ezekiel.
Right.
Yeah.
Good morning once again, Asido.
Good morning.
Studio staff and the Ghanaian public who have joined us this morning.
Right.
And my brother, Adele, as well. Obviously, we've had this discussion for the past 2 to 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And the basic fact is that healthcare is very expensive worldwide. You would remember the Obamacare health policy that never saw the light of day, and the fact that countries around the world have been trying to figure out the best way possible for their citizens in terms of healthcare costs. In America, for instance, one of the main drivers of corruption and thievery, in quotes, related activities in the US has got to do with the fact that at the median age to the old age, the communicable disease and non-communicable diseases, together with other cancer-related and terminal conditions, take a huge toll on people's savings, and they're unable to take care of the health cost financially. So when typically people are engaged in corruption in America, then the underlying cause is the fact that the person either has a huge health bill or a close relative is actually at the receiving end of bad health. So the person needs to do much or go the extra mile to raise money. And the situation is everywhere. If you look at other countries, at least within Africa, I think Nigeria, that's about $96 per session for dialysis. Kenya, that's around $81 per session.
I wish you. I wish I could try to do the conversion.
And South Africa, that's about 23,600 plus for the whole year for someone with end-stage kidney failure.
Okay.
So obviously, looking at the various comparison in other African countries, you can tell the cost involved in getting dialysis. And over here, it's been an average of, let's say, 300 to about 400, depending on the facility. Much more less expensive in government institutions, vis-a-vis Kolebu and the other tertiary institutions. So even looking at the comparison in the African sub-region, it's quite obvious that at least with our current state, we are doing better. And unfortunately, even with the over 700 cedi plus increment, if you are to compare with other countries, then it will stand to reason that, in quotes, our values would still be less. But it doesn't mean that if other countries are doing higher figures,
because if you had to convert, I think one of the countries that you mentioned, $96.
That's Nigeria.
$96 in Ghana cedis is 1,100, under 1,130 Ghana cedis.
Yeah. So
per session.
Per session. So it tells you the magnanimity of the situation. But of course, we can't say that other countries are doing more, so we should also do more.
Yeah, because if you are to do the whole comparison of the minimum wage
and all that, I understand, but it just gives. It's the cost of dialysis, for instance, is not pegged at how affluent people are.
Yes.
Just the healthcare implications when it comes to costs worldwide. So yes, we understood people when the backlash came, and the fact that even Parliament, especially from the minority side, moved in swiftly to call the action of Kolebu illegal. The fact that some key government persons also came out to say that Kolebu doesn't have the right to increase their cost, especially when they work directly under the Ministry of Health. And we're happy when they sent back the figures to the original figures. But of course, they gave justification as to why they needed to increase, and the fact that a private entity was the one supporting each dialysis session. Let's also put on record that if you come in an emergency in those public hospitals, and in the emergency state, you need at least dialysis. The first dialysis that is done for you to be stable, and then moving on, you plan on what to do, is done for free. So let's also credit the facilities. The first dialysis, every patient in an emergency situation is done for free. Then moving on, you try to mobilize funds to support the ones you need to do. And of course, we've said the average about 2 to 3, depending on how severe the condition is. Obviously, there are grades of renal failure. And the last point is what you call the end stage, because at that point, you've gotten to the end stage renal failure. Here, your kidney is almost shut down or completely shut down. So yes, the Honorable Professor, a revered professor, at least in our medical circles, at least said the right thing. We all know that Kolebu needs a lot of resources to be able to sustain that department. And the excuse or the reason they gave for the low figures, as I've already intimated, is the fact that a private institution was supporting. We've had engagements, we've had other people, stakeholders, talking about the fact that we need to include dialysis management on the NHIS. And we look at how the framework of NHIS, and it's at the policy level, how much is NHIS receiving. We were here last week when we spoke about the fact that over the years, government, past, present government, the fact that the monies collected, aside the direct reactivation and registration, are monies that go to the authority directly, or the levies on the various commodities that has NHI component goes directly to the consolidated fund. Then the Minister of Finance at the end of the day would have to transfer those funds into the NHI funds. And over the years, we've not had more than 80% of such monies credited to the accounts of the NHI. So we still need to go back to the policy level, how much we are charging. Are there special, luxurious commodities that, for instance, we can charge extra levies on? The ordinary person or the poor person would not use any treated fuel, for instance, but those that God had blessed somehow with some monies, and they can buy V-Power and other exorbitant fuel. Can we look at those areas to say, okay, we are putting a little amount on those commodities to make sure we raise enough to cater for such conditions? I mean, the ordinary person, for instance, will go to the pub or the beer bar and take a locally manufactured drink. But the rich man, for instance, is doing the vodkas, is doing the whiskeys and other expensive drinks. Can we target those commodities that are friendly to the rich, to say that, yeah, we are coming to add a few pesos or cedis to those commodities that will not have much impact on the people, considering their financial status, to broaden the revenue base for NHI to help include this cost? Because the fact that we are calling for it and government might consider to add doesn't mean it's coming at no cost. Because
okay, so pertaining to what you're saying right now, I quite remember that the CEO of Kolebu Teaching Hospital was on Kidney Matters on Joy News, Kidney Health Matters, and then he mentioned that the hospital has made a deficit of 4 million Ghana cedis. And that if they are to keep it running, they have to keep the treatments, everything running, looking at the numbers that they are also making and everything, they would need about 961,000 subsidy. Now, two options here. It is either government comes in to help clear this subsidy, or they will be forced to increase
the increment. I understand where the CEO is coming from. Of course, Kolebu, just like any public institution, is not profit oriented. If government is taking care of almost every doctor, government taking care of almost every nurse working for you, then maybe your own staff, orderlies and security people are the ones you are paying directly from Kolebu's coffers. Otherwise, every doctor, every nurse working is posted by the ministry to come to Kolebu's, come and work for you. So the idea of public institution is that you are not profit oriented. So the deficit, yes, he's right, they still need some basic finances to keep the company afloat. So we understand where it's coming from. But at the same time, we are working in the interest of the ordinary Ghanaian. So yes, there's a call on government, all right, to come in. But government cannot, or it will also quite a bit difficult for government to say, all of a sudden, I'm taking care of all kidney failure patients. It needs to be sustainable. So if government hasn't had appropriation at this point, or subsequent government don't have appropriation at this point, it's still going to be a burden on any government of the day. So we need to look at sustainable means of getting it. And we are lucky to have the NHI. So how do we incorporate dialysis onto the NHI? We've had sickle cell management incorporated recently. We've had childhood cancers incorporated recently. So yeah, the conversation can still go on. But the NHI as it stands at this point has huge challenges, especially how much come in and how much comes in and how much they get to be able to disburse to the facilities they work for. So we need to still go back to the policy. We need to go back to the policy that established NHI to look at how we can help. And of course, we plead with corporate Ghana to come in as well. They are doing a lot when it comes to less entertainment and other sectors. Or oftentimes, because for the health aspect, maybe the benefit back to the companies are not realized as compared to, let's say, having a fashion show where a lot of the spotlight is on a fashion show or other beauty pageants. So the corporate Ghana can have their products well advertised and perhaps get some financial returns. It's not the same for health, because health is not advertised that much. Until recently, a lot of people were not aware that even the current prices are being subsidized by a private company. And it's only when it became news that the private company's name was heard. That means a lot of people are doing things behind the scenes to cushion our health sector, and their names are not being mentioned. But of course, such rewards are always in heaven, and such rewards always come from God. So yes, as we are looking at the policy at the government level, let's reach out to corporate Ghana, let's reach out to individuals. We have corporate social responsibilities by companies. Can we target some of these conditions, liver failure, renal failure, even people with strokes and other conditions, to say that yes, we are coming in to support. But the fundamental thing is that the statement by the former minister is right. The inputs is quite expensive. Government is entreated, of course, to look at the import duties on those items that the dialysis units need to work with. But until then, once again, I always preach, let's take care of ourselves. Even if it is free, even if dialysis is free,
you still need to take care of yourself.
You would go through, the preparations you go through to start your dialysis, and even on the dialysis machine, the various complications that can arise. And if the fact that you're on dialysis doesn't guarantee that you are healed, doesn't guarantee that your kidneys are coming back. Once your kidneys have failed, have gotten to the end of its weight, definitely there's no coming back. However, we would have an opportunity to prevent all these. The major cause of renal disease, as already intimated, is hypertension and diabetes. If you have your hypertension, if you have your diabetes, once again, there is no magic in the world. There's no single medication that cures hypertension. There's no single medication that cures diabetes. At least medicine and science have not evolved to that level yet. Do not let anyone deceive you that you come to take certain medication is going to cure diabetes or hypertension. Go to see the doctor. The doctor will take your whole personality into perspective, do the labs for you, tell which medication is good for you. And the moment you have control over your diabetes and hypertension, you are preventing about 40 to 50%, excuse me to say, unwarranted occasion of the condition. And the fact that a lot of us also self-medicate, the various painkillers that we are using on the market over-the-counter medication
We need
also
to
have
stop.
dire consequences on our kidneys.
Right.
Let's do well. Let's be careful of what we consume as we still encourage government to come in to support unfortunately, our brothers and sisters who end up with the condition. And like I said, when I was in medical school, for instance, during our first half of medical school, such conditions, liver failure, kidney failure, are mostly mentioned among the adults.
Yes.
I get to final year medical school, I start working as a doctor, and we are seeing as low as 25, 23 years ending up with end-stage renal disease. It goes to show that, yes, the age disparity has changed, and the dynamics have changed. Demography of the condition has changed. So as young people coming up, let's be health conscious. Do not consume anything that is put out there for the sake of it. You need to know what you are taking in, because as we say, you are what you take in, you are what you eat, you are what you drink. And the outcome of such conditions, even if government once again is supposed to bear the cost, the entire cost of dialysis, I don't think anyone wants to experience it. So that would be my opinion.
I like the way Dr. Ezekiel, anytime you come on here, you give us a sprinkle of the fact that you show us that you're a doctor, so you have to.
We need to keep the education going.
Yeah, you have to. Adele, Dr. Ezekiel, I've heard everything you've said, but you see, regardless of all that, I also chanced on the fact that there are just 14 dialysis centers here in Ghana, 14 of them. The machines in total are approximately 300 all over. And then we have majority of them being in the Greater Accra and the Ashanti region. There are about 4 regions here in Ghana that do not have one single machine. Meaning, people who end up being diagnosed with kidney failures have to commute a distance to start getting treatment.
So briefly, before Adele comes in, I understand where you're coming from. It speaks to the healthcare dynamics of the country. It's not every district that would have dialysis center, because dialysis needs to be, you need to have a renal physician in charge to have a dialysis unit, or at least a specialist of a kind to take care of the unit. So we can't go to any district at all, in quotes, where we don't have the benefit of, let's say, specialists or renally trained specialists to run dialysis. So it's more of, in a way, a secondary to a tertiary level services, so that you go to the ordinary district hospital. The doctors are there, all right, they will diagnose you, but after diagnosing you, you need to see a renal physician. So how many of our facilities do have specialist services? That is where, not to do politics, the Agenda 111 comes in very handy. That if we have state-of-the-art district facilities at the district level that are quite modernized enough, because sometimes you train a specialist, and the specialist moves to the district, and the things to work with are not there. And your specialty training becomes, in quotes, useless, because you are going to do the ordinary things. But meanwhile, you've had a specialized training. So we need to change the dynamics of our healthcare.
Okay.
So yes, it's just about 14 facilities.
Yes.
But should every region has its own dialysis center, that would be a very good thing.
Right.
So having 4 regions without dialysis center, and I believe those regions definitely have some specialists, or should they have the machines at the regional hospitals? Obviously, the specialists will move there. But we need to make sure that our facilities are up to date. We are in the 21st century. You go to some district hospitals and they are not up to date. So the Agenda 111, personally, without doing politics, as a health worker, comes in very handy. You would have state-of-the-art facilities where any specialist being posted to the district would not give the excuse that I do not have things to work with, so I can't go. I do not have modern facilities, I do not have modern theaters, I do not have modern treatment rooms. So that is, we need to go back to tackle the issue from the basis of the dynamics of our healthcare.
Thank you for saying that, Adele. Yeah.
Before I dive into the subject, let me this morning eulogize someone. So there's a friend of mine, Marwan. He's been very, very supportive. I mean, as far back as 2018, when I was contesting for National Deputy Youth Organizer, this gentleman from Prestia, Huni Valley. I mean, he's just been wonderful. This morning, I just want to say thank you to him and that I appreciate every single thing he's done, for me.
Okay.
Having said that, Seydou, E.T. Mensah, this body came in, like we said last night, and it's still a lot of condolences for the families. And for us in the NDC, we've lost a stalwart, and we'll be there to support and do everything that we can, for the family. May he just rest in peace.
Amen.
As for the dialysis, for me, I think this topic is a bit heartbreaking for me, because to think that you're dying, but you're striving basically to survive. You have to strive, you need to hustle to survive. In itself, psychologically, it's not healthy. We need to get that. Then we need to come to the conversation of what the average Ghanaian makes in terms of salary.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So the average, let's not talk about the poor. I've heard him talk about the poor. I've heard Professor Frimpong Boateng talk about the poor. Let's not concentrate on the poor. I want us to concentrate on the average Ghanaian. Someone like me, I don't earn 7,000 a month. Okay? Okay. I have family. I have kids I take care of.
Yeah.
Now, what it means is that the average Ghanaian who has a job, be it a journalist, be it whatever it is that you want to call it, would still strive to raise 7,000 Ghana cedis a month
every month
to pay for dialysis. Like, if you want to really understand the situation, stop looking at the poor, because for them it's death. But for those that are even doing something for themselves, we're struggling. I'm a cameraman. I'm a journalist. I'm a mechanic. I own a shop.
You have something to rely on.
You have something to rely on that you pay your bills with. Even for those ones within that middle class, not all of them earn 7,000 cedis a month.
Right.
This 7,000 cedis is based on the fact that you're calculating that people are going to be paying for dialysis at 400 cedis thereabout. Yeah. What it means is that if we're going to do what is being purported now, we're going to basically be discussing somewhere, 10,000 thereabout, because you're looking at doing 3 times a week. This is how much money you need on a monthly basis. Now, in order for me to get into this conversation, Professor Frimpong Boateng's argument makes sense. In order for them to be able to continue to do dialysis and for the machines to continue to run, this is how much money we need. I don't see the crime in that. Because in effect, what it means is that if you're not getting that amount of money, you would not be able to run it at all. And if you're not running it, nobody will survive. For example, like the place got shut down for 2 months. People are not really getting access. Why? Because there is no money.
Right.
Now, you look at Sky Group, for example, they're taking care of about 250, patients, and they're paying for dialysis twice in a week, 4 patients, okay? This is just a private company who has decided to take 250 people, paying their dialysis for twice a week for God knows how long. The difficulty for me...
I think it's for a year.
For a year.
Yeah.
The difficulty for me is to think that government cannot basically intervene. That is a difficulty for me. And why it is a difficulty for me is because assuming that this very government has done things in a certain way, it will be okay for all of us to be shouting here and saying, bring people from outside to come and help us, bring someone from here to come and help us. We can do that. We can all do that. We're still doing that. But you see, the kind of wastage they keep doing is what bothers me. Priority. He says Agenda 111, right? Okay. You had somebody, before an emergency, sat down to think and say, look, we need to try as much as possible to solve problems before they even come. Even before we had COVID, said, let's splash hospitals around the country. Can you imagine what would have had, the situation would have had in 2020 if certain investments the former government did within the health sector were not in existence? Like, you don't have to wait for something to hit you. You need to plan ahead of time. One of the things I loved that they did was the ambulances, right? So the ambulances. Tomorrow, if the NDC is in government, and then we decide that, okay, let's do an extra, 300 ambulances or 250. What it means is that every constituency is going to have 2. And that in effect, what it means is that it goes on to assist. You did that because people were complaining about the fact that the roads and networks are, the accidents were too much and ambulances weren't enough. My argument is this: the kind of money that you have had, the kind of wastages that we have seen, to say that we cannot subsidize this is a problem for me. You cannot let the average person go through this when you know that if you had 1 cedi today, or you had your salary today, if you were to convert your salary a little into 2021 today, half of it is already gone. Half is gone. So you need to start looking at the fact that the people that have given you the mandate, these are the people that you're holding onto their resources to take care of them. If they die, what resources are you making? What monies are you making? So to think that at this point, we're still having to discuss whether to actually introduce, government to come in and then take it out completely, or whether we should get private individuals. You pump $50 million in that manhole. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't, and you're still wasting, even till today. Look, recently we were talking about Boston. We said they're buying iPhones for their workers, 14, is it iPhone 14 plus? Yeah. And we're paying 200 and something thousand Ghana cedis for what? For iPhones? But you still don't get to the priorities. It doesn't make sense. People are dying. Was it not you who indicated in 2020 that it is better to, do everything possible to save lives and then rework on the economy, later? So for me, I'm saying this: 7,000 cedis a month is no joke. You're talking about 80,000 plus a year.
Around 85,000 a year.
A year. It's not a joke. The average Ghanaian would not be able to afford this. 2, if private individuals can come in and pick as much as 250 people to cater for, the government can do more than that. The kind of resources that come to the government is not a joke. That is 2. 3, our health insurance, I hear him talk about it. It's dwindled. It's a mess. You're not getting the kind of resources you're getting from NHIS because it's a mess. Look, I'll tell you something. In 2016, my wife gave birth to my daughter in 37 Military Hospital. She went through a CS session. I can tell you how much I paid for that entire process. It's not today. Today, when you go to 37 and you want to do CS, the first thing they tell you is to put a deposit of 2,000 Ghana cedis. 2,000, before anything else. So we're saying that things are getting messy. You have a responsibility towards each and every one of us, whether you like it or not. The moment you admit it, that give me the mandate, I'll take care of it. And to think that government was not even aware of the fact that Kolebu had shut down outpatient dialysis for 2 close months until last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, when we started having these conversations. And then you sit on studios with government, communicators, and then they say, oh, we actually heard about it in the news as well. It doesn't make sense. Government can do something about this. The government should get into doing something. This is not politics as usual. This is just we telling them that, look, you can do something about it. Do not wait for emergencies. Be visionary. Be visionary. Think about problems. Solve them before it gets there. That's why I indicated to him, imagine what would happen in 2020 COVID if you didn't have UGMC. You didn't have Ghana Maritime. Don't do other shit also, you didn't have it. Imagine what would happen. Imagine if the expansion at Rage didn't happen. Imagine if we didn't do what we did in Tamale, regional hospital, the expansions that we did. Imagine. And then when their ministers started falling sick, they started looking for the places like, the UGMC. The plush places. So we're saying that, look, solve the problem before it comes. Think, have people who will just sit down and think for you. And just tell you, look, this is what we're looking at. This is where we're going. The alcohol consumption in the country, this is what it is. The kind of smoke that is ongoing, because these are some of the things that we said and did. We need to start looking at it. You need to start looking at how much alcohol is coming into the system, how much cigarettes and smokes are coming into the system, the amount of people that are going into the hospital every day complaining. When we decided to look at the district hospitals and decided to do the CHIP compounds, it wasn't because we just wanted to do. You're looking at documents. You're looking at, data.
How are they able to tell the number of people coming to the hospital drinking alcohol?
Listen, when I say data, when for example, and let me make it easy. You see, these are some of the questions. It's just basic. So if you used to import 1,000 bottles, 1,000 bottles of alcohol in a month as a country, as a state, and it moves to 1,500. What it means is that there's an increment, whether you like it or not.
Yeah,
no?
Obviously.
Okay.
Yeah.
What it also means is that any business person Who is bringing in this alcohol? If it was making losses, they would have reduced from 1,000. I'm bringing you. Please, I'm bringing you.
Repetitive question.
No, I'm coming. It would have reduced from 1,000 perhaps to 800 or 900. The fact that there is an increment consistently means that people are consuming it. And if people are consuming it at the rate with which it is moving, obviously, you're going to have issues. He sits here and talks about the fact that, one of the major things that we need to look at is that aside, assuming government even comes in and wants to take over, completely, you need to take care of your health. And then you cited what? What did you cite? Alcohol, right? You cited alcohol, right? Where's it coming from? You don't know where it comes from? You don't know it comes from the port? You don't know it has been increasing?
You see, don't let us do this. You've made a specific argument that you could tell the number of people coming to the hospitals or the hospitals.
So he's requesting for the
alcohol.
data.
How did you know?
That's what he's asking. No.
That's what I'm asking.
But
that's what he's asking.
No, I'm coming.
Please.
So let me answer that. I said what?
Yes.
I'll feel very, very, disappointed in you as a doctor if you talk like this. You know why?
Why?
Because when you come to the hospital, I said and you're diagnosed of any of these, in fact, basic things, even like hypertension, they ask you, do you take alcohol? I'm coming. Please. Let me. Can I wait? Can you wait? Let him finish. You're a doctor. You're in the hospital.
Please go ahead.
The last time I went to the hospital for a checkup, the doctor asked me, do you smoke?
Do you smoke? Okay.
It goes into our files. It doesn't? What are you saying?
You're
telling me that data cannot be organized? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm trying to tell him is that if we are looking at a period where the number of people consuming alcohol.
Oh, now you're changing the topic?
Yes.
You're changing the question?
That's the question I asked you. I said, how did you know? Then you went on the time. Relax.
So, Ezekiel, we would all want to know.
Relax. Yes, exactly. So I'm coming to tell him how you know now.
Help us.
How
Exactly.
you know now.
Right.
Your argument is that if we are importing 1,000 boxes of alcohol and it has increased to 2,500, so people are consuming. The fact that people are consuming doesn't mean they will necessarily report to the hospital because they're taking alcohol. You get it? There are lots of people consuming alcohol who necessarily do not report to the facilities simply because they're taking alcohol.
Okay, no
What
problem.
is easier today and is medically friendly today, data friendly today, research friendly today is that a particular regime has introduced the LIMS system, a digitalized system across government facilities, where you come to the hospital today. I'm not going to pick a folder and write your details in the Sidwa. And when I feel I've made a mistake as a doctor, I can, pull your folder somewhere and maybe remove it from the system, which we used to see over the years. Today, the LIMS system, if you come to me here, Okomlemle today, and I take your data and I write, I say Dua consumes 3 bottles of beer a week, directly captured. You can't change it.
So it stays in there.
The national
it can't be touched.
It can't be touched. Once you've input on the LIMS system, it goes straight to the database. So we've digitalized.
I'm confused. So at the point where there could be a mistake,
yes,
how do you correct it?
We can go and update your information. If, for instance, I prescribe medication for you and I made a mistake with the dosage, I will have to go back and create what you call an addendum. An addendum is an addition to whatever information I wrote. Hold my initial diagnosis, hold my initial prescription. Rather go ahead with this. I'll update your information. But once
the previous one just stays in there, it can't be touched.
So if you want to now know the number of people come to the hospital to present with alcohol issues, it's not the fact that bottles were coming in with 1,000 and now they are 1,500. We have a digitalized system that would point to the fact directly. That's the point I'm going.
No problem.
You see, we're discussing health, and you went on the tangent of politics. We were in this country when you promised one time NHI premium payments, and you ended up branding buses to that 3.6 million Ghana cedi.
Fine.
What are you talking about?
Okay.
Let's not politicize the health sector. I was very, very charitable. And I actually empathize with the Ghanaian.
Yeah.
When I said government needs to do a lot when it comes to subsidizing the input in dialysis, that we need to shift from politics. When I'm talking about health, at least that's my profession, that's my area. So when I'm talking about health, I look at the patients that come before me, I look at those that come so helpless, and we need to put aside politics. The CEO of NHI was on Asempa FM about 2 weeks ago or last week. And when he was talking about the fact that NHI could come in, he put aside politics. And he actually went on a tangent to say that no government has disbursed about 80% of the monies that's sent to a consolidated fund meant for NHI, including our government. That was a doctor heading NHI talking about health issues, devoid of politics. And some of us, well, maybe it's not anyone's field, it's not everyone's field, so you can come and do the politics. Let's look at how to discuss it dispassionately, devoid of politics. When you do these things,
can I come in?
Then you come in. The facilities you are throwing about. Do you know the Eurojet project? And where the Eurojet project comes in, you are here trying to say that yes, the ordinary Ghanaian cannot pay 7,000 cedis for dialysis. The facilities you said you've opened, the UGMC, we credit Prof. Mills with the UGMC. There's Maritime Hospital, Port and Harbours Authority started the Maritime Hospital. We credit you, at least it happened during your regime. How many Ghanaians can access Maritime Hospital? How many Ghanaians can access Eugene? You understand? The ordinary Ghanaian, if today I'm referring a case to Eugene Medical Center, especially if it has to do with an emergency where a patient will require high dependency unit or an emergency care ICU, the deposit is 6,000 Ghana cedis. 6,000 Ghana cedis.
Okay.
How many Ghanaians? The focus to have the Agenda 111 is to give true meaning to primary health care. If we have primary health care well taken off, we are halfway problem solved. The vision of universal health coverage, you are not going to achieve universal health coverage by putting up facilities like UGMC. We are tackling the issues that is confronting ordinary Ghanaian. The argument was not even based on ordinary Ghanaian, because you know the ordinary Ghanaian, the poor Ghanaian is in a way on the way to death.
They just can't afford.
Your argument was even with the average Ghanaian, which you say is not making that 7,000 cedi a month. That average Ghanaian, if you are sending the average Ghanaian to UGMC for emergency care, has to deposit 6,000 Ghana cedis. So yes, which problem did you solve? You are solving problems for the rich and leaving the poor. Someone is tackling the poor. Someone is tackling the ordinary Ghanaian who makes majority of our population. Don't let us go into politics. It's health for me. It's personal for me, because that's my field. But when you go on this tangent of politics, then you invite us to come and tell you what you did and what you didn't do right. At the end of the day, yes, you brought us some facilities. Credit to you. President Kufuor secured loans, managed everything for Eurojet projects, 8 hospitals across the country. You will not credit President Kufuor with it. No problem. At least it goes to solve a health problem for the ordinary Ghanaian. But so we are okay.
I said, is he in his own speeches, he keeps tying himself. I indicated here that it is possible to know the number of people taking in alcohol in the hospital. You go back and you come back to the same thing. No, I'm coming, please. When you're speaking, I'm sitting here. You go and come back to the same thing. That is why I said I'll be disappointed if you're asking this question as a doctor. Please.
And I've told you why I was asking.
Out of respect, I beg you, don't mess the program up. I beg you. He comes and talks. No, he comes and talks about digitalization. Look, let me bring him back. This is what I keep telling him. Think ahead. We thought ahead and built the data center. Without that, what would you have done?
The lens is not for a data center.
Ezekiel,
the lens is not for a data center, please. Don't go there. The lens is not for your so-called data center. The LIMS is not from your so-called data center. Please go and ask your people.
So viewers, I hope you're sending in your messages in relation to the first topic that we've already started talking about. What do you think about Professor Frimpong Boateng, what he said in relation to this? You know, one other thing to that he said, Adele.
Yes.
What do you want to say?
No, look, I've jotted a few things down, and I just wanted to make something clear.
Okay.
I'm saying to him, and if you can just keep quiet, please, out of respect, I'm saying to him that somebody needed to think and solve a problem to make it easy for you when you came to government. Like it or not, I'm saying that. The data center that was put up here was supposed to take care of all of these issues put together.
Oh, goodness.
I'm telling you, take your time. There was a reason. Why? You don't have it. Take. I'm giving you paper and pen. Write it down. It's supposed to solve a problem.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. You come in and you talk about the fact that, I didn't even consider the people who were poor. You know why I didn't go there? I didn't go there because I want you to think about the fact that even if you were to say, even if you were to say that, let's ignore the poor, and you're taking the average, they can't afford, so how much more the poor? Think. I raised the bar in order for you to understand the extent to which you need to work. This is what I do to you. And then you say, oh, I ignore them. No, I am telling you that if they can't even afford, think about those that are down there.
Down there.
Because if I come and talk about them, if I talk about them, then you will probably lose sight of the average person who is there and cannot even pay. Again, let me add this to it. He talks about what you call it, bus bundling. At least, when we did bus bundling, she paid the money back. Sputnik V, you collected money for whatever it is that it is called till today. Till today, 2020 COVID. As we're sitting here in the constituency of the vice president, you said in Tanarugu that you were going to build a center, a holding center. You've paid $4 million, not even one brick is on the floor. Who has paid that money back? You're sitting here, you're talking just anyhow.
Okay.
Let's move on. LIMS has nothing to do
indeed, we are
data center.
But at the end of the day, we are also trying to find a solution.
It's health.
You're wasting too much money. People are dying. You're sitting here and you're talking about the fact that nothing is happening.
No one, I mean, John DeMello said it. But that bottom-down approach, I mean, that's how they solve.
No problem. It's fine. We like it. Let the people die. We know what to do.
Okay. So, Dr. Ezekiel, I mean, before we move on to the next topic, as a help as a doctor, what should be the way forward in relation to this right now? I mean, you have mentioned, you know, you have admitted the government, it would be good if government comes in and everything.
Definitely.
But then realistically speaking, what should be the way forward?
I think the first point, of course, should be the possible removal of subsidies on the items that are needed by every dialysis center. One, the subsidies or the import duties on those items.
Yeah, because they mentioned that that's one of the
some
causes.
pharmaceutical products come in freely without import duties because it's health. So doing business in health. And a friend at JRA told me recently that there's a lady who has a pharmaceutical company and some of the products she imports, I mean, there's a huge subsidy of pharmaceutical products. So she has registered about 3-4 companies who have been entirely different job, but has linked those companies with a pharmaceutical company just to avoid payment of taxes and other levies on her businesses. So it shows that, yes, we can make a headway with the removal of those import duties, or at least bring it down. That will be the first point of call.
Okay.
And then once that is done, that can take a day or 2 or a week, depending on what cabinet and the president decide on. And then we look at how feasible is it to have it on NHI. And let's not just lose sight of other conditions. There are cancers who are really, really affecting women. We are in October and we are preaching breast cancer. Go to the second floor of Kolebu Surgical unit, you'd see women with cancers. When I was there as a house officer working on the cancer floor, the fact that unfortunately I needed to certify death of women dying from breast cancer was quite disheartening. So the issue needs to be looked at holistically. We shouldn't do a knee-jerk reaction to say, yes, dialysis is on the table today, let's just look at kidney issues.
And ignore
tomorrow,
the others.
It will be liver failure.
Because we also have HIV/AIDS on the table.
Tomorrow it will be liver failure.
Yeah.
The next day it will be cancers. So we need to have a holistic national discussion on these issues and look at where we can appropriate certain levies to include on the NHI, and if very possible, at least give some remedy for those conditions. The conditions are vast, and they are lots.
I hope that
we can't just treat one.
Government intervenes with immediate effect.
It's necessary.
It's
that
necessary.
Is exactly what has to be done. There are several taxes. We're still paying what? Street lights. We're still paying COVID levy. You can't just sit down and then adjust and say, okay, looking at the situation, how about we transfer this here? We're taking monies from our oil and putting it into Get Fund. You collateralize it. It's like, look at where NHIS is today. Look at where it is today. You can't even pay them their monies, but you're taking the monies.
How much are they owed?
I'll look at it and give it to you.
Okay, sir.
We had about 9 to 1 year, 9 months to 1 year arrears you're owing them.
Okay, so today that you're paying, what is happening to NHIS?
Please. NHIS is in a better state than
Okay,
People listen,
right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you are sending in your comments. It's time for us to get into the next topic for discussion. Okay, so we do have some comments. Let's take them. Alhaji Hamza Pick Farm says, good morning, madam. Let's call a spade and stop beating around the bush. We are told that enough monies don't go to the NHIS. The question here is, now who calls them? monies that we are supposed to go to, that are supposed to go to NHIS is not going because this government has diverted funds meant for the scheme to other sectors. Madam, are you also aware the funds that is meant for the scheme has been capped by this government? In my humble opinion, the capping should be removed with immediate effect so that the NHIS will have more monies to help patients going through dialysis. Until they should stop insulting our intelligence and do the needful. Okay. Next one, my point is that the media, which is the fourth arm of government, which people or citizens do not hold in high esteem, is the most powerful among the arm of government, which stand, okay, oh, that was so fast. Let's go to Aaron's comments. Good morning to you. We hear weird and unfriendly reports regarding network houses or pertaining their officials, that is journalists. Renowned and seasonal journalists keep saying that their work do not pay, and what have you? Okay, continuing, my point is that the media, which is the fourth arm of government, which people or citizens do not hold in high esteem, is the most powerful among the arm of government, which stands to the reason that we must not underestimate any piece of work from the media, and we must be very careful what we write about when holding the pen or using the microphone. Love, respect. Okay, thank you very much, Aaron. Good morning, Joy Prime. Now, Ghana is in a mess, very expensive healthcare, and the MPP government do not have anything reassuring to say. By the way, please, we didn't see the NSMQ on TV. Okay, Maldina Cruz says, watching you live and clear inside Indianapolis, Kumasi, Tanoso, Kesben Junction, the main location. Okay, thank you so much. Hi, I am Kojo Mensa. My question to doctors, hospital administrators, and the Ministry of Health is, are they doubting the fact that some herbalists here in Ghana have cure for kidney if at dialysis stage, and that they say it openly on several radio and TV stations? What is wrong with our doctors finding out from them the evidence and the potency of whatever herbs used in this treatment? Is it pride or what? Good morning, Nesi Edouard. I think the Prof is looking at the sustainability of scheme. If he can do something to support Kolebu, that is what should be the focus. Yao Minta. And yes, the CEO of Kolebu did call on private entities, individuals who can be able to help as well to get on board in relation to this. Now, increasing dialysis cost about 50% is not something that will help. I'm from Tamale, and each Friday we see patients seeking for help to pay their weekly 350 Ghana cedis. So imagine what will happen when it's increased. Bawa Mutawako. Okay. Good morning to you, Madam Edouard, and your panelists, as well as to my brother NDC rep there. Did I hear the MPP man mention Professor Frimpong as good prof? These people, you are evil, and NDC.
He's a professor in medicine.
Yeah, okay. Yes, an NDC so person, as well as useless when you criticize them, but you are angel and good person when you speak in favor of their corrupt and incompetent regime. The hospital has nothing to do but to increase the burden of we the poor citizens. What have we done to deserve this heartless treatment from this chop government? Madam, I hope Madam Roslyn is doing well. Simani Hamza, yes, she's perfectly okay. You'll be seeing her shortly. Okay, do we have some more messages? All right, so keep the messages coming in. Let's move on to the next topic for discussion, and that's regardless of how the country's economy, the growth rate of the economy has been, or the situation of the country currently has been. IMF yesterday, 10th October, at when the World Bank meeting happened in Morocco, has announced a very positive projection of growth in relation to the economic growth rate of the country, which is in 2024 by 2.7%. My first question that I want to ask Adele Umar Ibrahim is he excited about this? That IMF has projected a positive growth rate with our economy. Adele.
I said what? Yeah, you can laugh about it. See, here's the thing. From 2020, after COVID, following year 2021, we had an appreciation. 2022, we had a little bit of an appreciation. I mean, right from when we went, into negatives, we pushed up. So obviously, while we're getting away, and then the fact that today we're under an IMF program, of course there will be growth. Mm-hmm. You would remember what took place between 2014 and 2016 when we went on to the IMF program. In fact, when we left power, they actually took over from us, and then they exited in, I think, 2018, 2019, that was when it basically ended. In 2016, the IMF projected that by 2017, Ghana was going to grow to over 7-point-something% in terms of GDP. They argued about it. They said, and then we talked about the growth that we had in 2017, talked about the fact that it was because we were still under the IMF program into 2018. We talked about it. We said, look, it was based on certain methods and certain things that we put in place right from 2014, 2015, climbing upward. So obviously, if the government is meeting the targets, now if you've come to an agreement and we're being told that the second chunk is coming. So you're receiving funds. You're making cuts. And this is what we keep telling them. Because as of 2019, when you started going on that, immediately they exited, then they did the Kinky Party at Finance Ministry. After they did the Kinky Party, that was it. It was borrowing. And the IMF indicated to them in the 2019 report that, look, the level at which you are borrowing, you're going to create another mess. And so with high risk, high debt risk, that was what the IMF indicated as far back as 2019. That was the country report in 2019. Yeah. It was right from that point in time we started telling you that you needed to start doing some cuts. We haven't said anything different. Everything you're hearing today is what we've been telling them. You say you want to do NAPCO. We say it is not sustainable. That's why I was excited earlier on when I heard him talk about sustainability. We said it's not sustainable. Create permanent jobs. Instead of just taking people and giving them millions of cedis, spending millions of cedis on a monthly basis, create a job that would employ people permanently. Take that same money, invest it somewhere, build something that will take them permanently, rather than just throwing them here and then paying, and now you're not able to absorb them. So you kept making these mistakes. You said free SHS. We said let the rich pay, leave the poor. You sat here earlier on and indicated that one of the things that this government, for example, when it comes to when we're talking about the dialysis issue, you said it is okay to look at the things that the rich people take so we can tax them. Yes, you take from the rich and you give to the poor. We said the same thing about free SHS. So it is the wastage. Now that they are under the IMF program and the IMF is scrutinizing and putting certain things in place and monies are coming, automatically you would see the growth. You will definitely see growth.
So it is exciting.
It is exciting.
Yeah.
If they would follow it to the latter, it is exciting. You know why I get worried sometimes?
Why?
I said, you see, all these monies that are coming, if they're being used for what they ought to be used and used very diligently, we will grow. But you see, it's difficult trusting this government. Why? Because as bad as COVID funds that were given to you, woman for Yari, you don't have money. Someone comes and says, I'm giving you money to support your people, to keep them alive. You carry part of the money, you give it to your parliamentary candidates to go and campaign. To an extent that someone in the northern region came and said that the 50,000 that was given to me and even the extra 50 I had, which is 100,000, I didn't use it. I ended up giving it back to the party. Right? So the kind of decisions they take is the worry. But at the end of the day, growth is what we're all looking for. But see, one other thing is very, very critical. When you grow as a country, and the lives of the average person is not touched and it's not changed, there's no difference. Yes, the economy is growing, but people still can't afford stuff. Milk is still at where it is. Inflation is still where it is. The salaries are not, being increased. Our money keeps doing it. Your city is depreciating. So you're growing, yes, you will grow. The oil sector alone is helping in the growth that you're seeing today. Before we left power, we were drilling for one oil field. Before we left, we gave you 2 more. So automatically, I would say that if they're following and they follow to the latter, we would see some growth. And seeing the growth is not enough. I think this government has to do a lot more into helping our inflation. We need to really, really stabilize our city. It is very, very critical. Kennedy talks about it. He says, look, I'm losing money on a daily basis.
Okay. So I remember that in less than 2 weeks ago, the finance minister did mention that the economy will be revived again. And he was literally on the chopping block because Ghanaians were not having it after the finance minister said that. And now IMF has projected a positive outlook for the economy in 2024. And we are not only that, we are also expecting the second tranche of monies, which would be coming in hopefully next month, which is November. Let's look at the outlook of everything. How does this look for the country?
Okay, so Sid, I'll start with the international space, because yes, the economies of the world are interconnected. We are sort of some nexus of nerves, as we say. So if international outlooks look positive, then we are assured that at least the external pressures will be minimal on us. From June to now, I think crude oil prices has increased about 25% on world markets. The Russia-Ukraine war, that's when we preach, people don't understand, or no one here.
People still don't understand.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's the fact that now the Europe and its ally, America and Europe, the fight against Russia in terms of economic wars, the sanctions imposed on Russia, and the fact that Russia is one of the main OPEC countries, the oil, petroleum producers and exporters in the world. The fact that Russia is also diverting parts of its oil to certain parts of the world, and that's kind of geopolitics war creating huge disparity on international markets. If oil prices on international markets keeps increasing, then the remnant or the rippling effect is that we are still going to be at the receiving end. If prices on international markets keep, behaving erratically, then we are still going to see the effects. The IMF currently is in somewhere Africa having their board meeting, and when you watch CNN and BBC over the night, the chief economist of IMF is quite worried that globally the recovery has been very slow. He actually stated that the world economy is limping along, not sprinting, because we were expecting, a sprint, if not a dash, in world economy. But quite unfortunately, the world economy is still limping along. This shows that recovery globally has been very, very minimal, has been very, very slow post-COVID and the current situation of the Russia-Ukraine war and its impediment in global chain supply and the effects thereof. So Ghana, not being an isolated country, we had our fair share of COVID-19 and the war in Russia and Ukraine. But of course, the president, during his speeches in 2020, said we can't bring up life if we lose any Ghanaian. However, we can do burden sharing and resurrect the economy should the economy crumple. And of course, we've seen the benefits of recent management and policies that have been put in place. We are expected to grow at 2.7. IMF projected about 1.7 growth this year. The World Bank projected about 1.5, but Fitch Solution has projected about 3.0 growth for Ghana. The CD is expected to be one of the most well-performing currencies in Africa next year. The central bank is expected to reduce monetary rate by about 600 basis points, which in effect will help reduce monetary rate to about 22%. That gives space to industries and businesses to go to the banks to borrow. Because when the monetary rate is high, that means interest payments is going to be huge. And that would cripple businesses from accessing loans to expand their businesses and employ. So if we have a situation where our monetary rate is going to be reduced expectedly by about 600 basis points, that means we are going to have a massive reduction in policy rate to expected about 22% next year. And that will give space for construction and huge businesses to access loan, because the burden on them will then be reduced. We expected huge growth in our mining industry, about 5% growth in our mining industry. We know we are exporter of gold and other natural resources. So yes, once there's that growth, that means we are going to have a lot more in terms of our mining industry to exports. Agribusiness is expected to grow about 3% next year. And this is due to the fact that, especially in cocoa, which is one of our major exporters, the increments by government, where researchers have rightly pointed out that due to the increment, now farmers are more encouraged to produce more. So our cocoa yield is going to increase. And the yearly problem of smuggling of our beans to neighboring countries is going to reduce, because we are giving competitive prices to our farmers. So all this put together forecast a very positive image of our economy next year. That is the path of recovery. and we hope that things are very much sustained. Our internal local policies that the BOG, the Ministry of Finance, and the government has started, we pray that they yield the fruits that are expected. We still need to increase our tax nets to making sure that no matter what we do as a country, we are all expected to pay something little into the coffers of the country for development to thrive. I'm quite happy that even in the midst of all these economic difficulties, everything government set out to do, all government major projects are still ongoing. I don't know if you've seen images of the road being constructed from Techiman to Akomadan to Techimentia, and it's a huge road project being done. Now, if you move to Kumasi, on the Kumasi road, aside the Ofankor to Nsawam stretch that has been upgraded and widened from Enyinam to Nkoko, there's been a bypass to curb the one-lane situation we have on the Accra-Kumasi road. From Konongo as well, there's also been a bypass. There are massive projects.
Do you have only the roads that you're constructing to boast of when it comes when it comes to most especially the question of the first tranche of monies that was sent, that was given by IMF? Is the road construction the only thing you can boast of?
It's first of all, those monies came to boost our reserve, and when your reserve is boosted, that's when you have much more stability in your currency. But let's not lose sight of the fact that road construction is a huge depletion on our natural resources and our national resources. At the same time, the roads are the things that are done today and tomorrow we have forgotten. That's why they need to be rehashed. But of course, 360 is still going on. Planting for food and jobs, phase 2 has been launched. We are seeking to recruit 1 million farmers for the first year and about 500,000 farmers subsequently for the additional 4 years. All government projects are ongoing. Agenda 111 is still ongoing. You've seen the pictures. At least I always say that as a doctor, if by the end of the tenure of the Akufo-Addo's government, you promise 111 facilities, if we are to even have 50 functioning, I'll be very much happy that within 8 years, if a government is supposed to add 50 new facilities to our stock, that means in the next 16 to 20 years, if every government is supposed to do 50, they're going to have over 150 facilities spread across. The massive employment opportunities is going to create, not just for those in the health sector, doctors and nurses, pharmacies, other technicians, orderlies, cleaners, a whole lot. You understand? So yes, it's not just the roads. Yeah, the road is very massive. You've seen the uproar by certain of Ghanaians crying over their roads in their locality. It shows the burden of work that needs to be done. So that's why I cited the road. But of course, all other sectors of the economy are seeing a facelift, and we hope and pray that the growth and the sustainability, the recovery, is very much shaped to at least help the ordinary Ghanaian. When we have the stability, that's when businesses can very much forecast to know that yes, we are expecting stability in our exchange rate, so that will help with planning, importation, price regulation, and all that. The ordinary Ghanaian who goes to buy groceries can very much plan for their homes. Prices of goods will not erratically change. So yes, it helps with planning at the micro level, the individually. It helps with planning at the macro level, at the government level. Businesses will have the freedom to borrow. Businesses will have the opportunity to expand and to very much employ others. Where I still have a problem is that if you look at the outlook by those international agencies, we will still have some disparity with our import and export disparity. We discussed it over the years, and it's not going to change much. So we keep employing to tell government to do more to finish products, the natural resources we are producing. We still need to make sure we are turning a lot more into finished products where we can send to other countries. The cocoa sector is seeking to do about 48% of finished goods by end of this year. And let's keep encouraging. Let's speak good of the economy, because with just the mentioning of the second tranche of money coming, we saw what the CD did last week, appreciating just because of the announcement was made. So we are still waiting on the board, the IMF board, to give the final approval. We've had staff level agreement between the ministry, the board, the Bank of Ghana, and the staff of IMF, pending approval by the board to let the other tranche of money come, which will come and show our reserve and give some cushioning to our currency. And I'm happy that next year the CD is going to be one of the best performing currencies in the African sub-region.
Well, it looks, yes, Adele.
A small touch. Small touch. You're aware that in the same article, the IMF indicated that Ivory Coast, for example, is going to grow by 6.6.
6.6, yeah.
And we're doing 2.7. Just a heads up, you know. We're in the same space, all hit by COVID and all of that. He talks about the fact that free SHS. Are you aware of the fact that, as we speak, Ghana is not really under WAEC, West African Examination Council? Do you know that this government actually took, senior high school from that, and we're writing our own exam? We're not actually doing the same thing that West Africa is doing. You see, you've messed up a lot of things, and we keep calling your attention. He talks about free SHS is still running. You're running free SHS. If the students that are under free SHS today are to sit with the students that are writing West African Examination Council, won't be report all. But you see, in order for you to do politics, you took our examination from there, and then you set up your own council, and you're letting them write exams within, and then you're grading them, and then you sit on TV and you laugh, and you're happy. When you put any of those students out there today, you're creating problems. It's a mess.
It would be a flop.
It will be a flop. Let them write the exams. They've been writing all these years. Why won't you let them write it? You see, this government has to learn something. You can look for corners. You can cut them. You see the length. You see the actual length of a human being when it dies. When the time comes and you leave office, that is where all these things will be visible. Again, let me say this. What transforms any economy and manages to keep your inflation at a certain level and manages to put money into people's pockets is what you call capital expenditure. Infrastructures. So when we went on the agenda of infrastructure, which they have dwindled, they have dropped. Because in 2017,
I don't think they would agree with you.
They won't.
Yeah.
No, they won't. They won't agree that they have reduced
the when it comes to infrastructure.
Look, the amount of money, listen, the amount of money we have invested. What this government has done is basically invest a lot more money into what you call services. If you go to the presidency, you go to all these other institutions, and the kind of money they spend on a yearly basis on them, on salaries, on allowances, this is what we're talking about. I said, listen, if you're doing capital expenditure, you're building hospitals, major projects, you're doing roads the way you're doing it, trust me, we won't see the kind of things. People will not struggle the way you're struggling. You know why? Because it dwindles all the way down to the average person. Right from a mason, to labor, to steel bender, to the person that is selling what you call a cement. When we indicated in 2020 that we wanted to put 10 billion in the economy, what we call the big push, it was to create some of these things. So my argument is this: you can sit here and talk about when you do these projects, you're supposed to put something back into the lives of people. So if you claim that you're doing all these projects, you claim that you're doing all these investments, and we still cannot feel it, I'm wondering where the monies are going to. Because the truth of the matter is that if you're really doing capital expenditure, it will reflect on the lives of people. I will tell you, things have been a bit difficult for me as an individual because of the lack of some of these capital expenditure, because I'm into construction.
Okay.
I benefit if the government does it. You understand what I'm saying? So once the projects are running, once these things are ongoing, it is not just the time that you invest in the project. I'll give you an example. Let's say UGMC or Ridge Hospital expansion. Let's say that. Or let's say this road that you're constructing. Right from the time you start constructing, you create what you call temporal jobs till the time you finish. You give people as low as people who will come and sit there and then sell cocoa in the morning for someone to the workers for someone to come and buy. This is how vast it is.
Okay.
And then when you are done, that is when you come and you're looking for the doctor. You're looking for a nurse, you're looking for a driver, then you create permanent jobs after you have done all that temporal. Once that is over, these people who just finished building one hospital, they're already moving into another place to build.
Are we not saying that the temporary workers on the road construction sites, are they not benefiting? Agenda 111. I mean,
how many of Agenda 111?
You sit here and talk about big push. You promised 10 billion Ghana cedi. The same people promised you Hope City. I'm going to build 10 billion, whatever Hope City. What happened? Don't come and sit here and tell you promised that STX, we saw STS and the hoax around it. We saw the Hope City promise and
who have you arrested?
Please,
who have you arrested?
Stick to your Okada and mortuary things that you promised. That will be better.
No problem.
Stick to your Okada and the mortuaries you promised.
No problem.
Okay, so do we have some comments? So I take them and then we end this segment. Okay, so let's read some comments. We have some comments. Let's read them. All right. So, but then before we get into the comments, let's quickly brush through our very last topic for discussion, which is in relation to Liberia is going to the polls, and George Oponwia, after 6 years, 6 years of being president of Liberia, his fate will be decided again if he would end up being voted into power again, or Joseph Boakai, who is fiercely wanting to be president, saying that George Oponwia hasn't really done enough, and so it is time for him to be out, for him to take over. And so, like I said, Liberia is going to the polls. But before we get into that, let's read some comments. This one says, no borrower will say ill about a rich potential client, and that is what the IMF is doing to Ghana, just being hypocritical because of their greed and selfishness. But we should also remember we are not paying our foreign loan. Kuma P. Jr. inside Ashoman Estate. Thank you for your message. Do we have some more? Kuma P again says, the kidney dialysis machine is just roughly $9,000, but Cecilia is busy packing the money under her bed, and the Bank of Ghana is also busy buying gold watches, $2 million, and bust buying iPhones for 285,000 Ghana cedis. And you say what? Tell the MPP guy to stop exhibiting his ignorance. Okay, do we have some more messages? MPP must expect a blasting showdown from Ghanaians, from Ella Frimpong, our great news site. Please, I'm very interested in the NSMQ because I want to be like Ezekiel. Oh, Ezekiel's inspiring someone this morning. Good morning, Esiedua. Why is it that this doctor always continues shifting the goalposts? When he mentioned Agenda 111, was he not doing politics? What the NDC man was simply saying to this MPP government is that if they can control the Westage and the system, we can have enough to take care of them. From Prosper Pecky. Good morning. Please, there is something we must all put in our mind, hearts, and spirit, that a service to a man is a service to God. It's not just a saying, it is a word to the wise. Whatever you do to your children, know that someone's child also deserves the same, because that child you're not paying attention to is that one whose parents voted for you to become who you are, totally not your children. And my candid advice to this politicians is that they are not to serve the one who appoints them, they are to serve the one they prayed for him to appoint them, and the entity, and that entity sees whatever they are to do better than the one who appoints them, and his reward is important to the one who appoints them. Okay, the president is a man and the Lord is not a man. Man reward remain here on earth. I think, Ezekiel, this is for you. Man reward remain here on earth, but the Lord's reward goes beyond this world, and the Lord's reward is what will determine where you spend your eternity. A word to the wise is enough. Stand back from Adenta. Sorry?
Say amen to that.
Amen. Less than 20% of monies collected for NHIS actually go into healthcare. The 80% of the NHIS money goes into the contingency votes, so the government can mismanage the money. The 16-year-old Priscilla Asante died because the nation failed her. What a country. This is from Patrick Accra. Okay. Good morning, and thank you for the good job on the issues of the electricity meter corruption you discussed yesterday. With the ECG is the same with some NETCO staffs, especially in Yechi Bono East region. There is one staff whose name starts with letter O. He charges 200 Ghana cedis before your meter information is captured in the system so you can get light. Starts with letter O. You should have just given us the name. Good morning, Joy Prime. When extraordinary Ghanaian finding solution to problems of the ordinary Ghanaian because they don't feel their problems, instead of finding solutions to high cost of why comparisons. Okay, solutions to high cost, why comparisons. Good morning to Mr. Thomas Alonsi, the incoming MP of Bilson North. Gariba from Akuse. Good morning, I'm watching from... Okay, you didn't state that. And I'm watching you live from Akumadang. Greetings to Dr. Ezekiel. For the NDC, they always benefit for politicizing every issue. Okay. I believe we are done. Okay. Thank you so much for your messages this morning. It's been very, very interactive.
We're not touching on the last subject.
Sorry?
Time.
Okay, briefly. Yeah, because of time, but then shortly,
Okay,
just
great.
say something.
So the issue of Liberia, I think it's a beautiful one. And I've basically just been following how the elections are going. I'm not in a position to indicate how George Weah would basically fare at the end of the day, but I think that he's taken certain decisions, you know, between the last few years, which were very good. Did you know that last year Liberia grew by almost 5%? You know, just last year they grew by 5%, even though it's indicated about 50% of the people are still within the poverty lines. We know what happened and how they are trying to rebuild transformation. But the man George Weah does certain things that really touches me. Did you know that he caused the warrant and the arrest of 30 central bank officials because $104 million could not be found? 104. Look, not 2 billion, not 60 billion. $104 million. They couldn't find it in central bank. 30 central bank officials were arrested. He sacked 3 of his senior high officials, including the chief of staff, because the US did an investigation and said those people were actually corrupt. What we need to understand, and for me, I take a key from this. What we need to understand as Africans is this: not just Africans, everybody around the world. The problem would happen. That is inevitable. Solving the problem is what makes the difference. When you set examples, when your son goes to school and comes back, and then he comes back 10 p.m. and you pull his ears a little bit, when his younger sister is sitting there and watching, she would not want to go and have that same punishment. So we're saying that it is the kind of punishment that you met that makes people sit down and relook at it. I am praying that, you know, whoever takes it from Liberia would continue some of these things, because it is necessary. When people take advantage of the people, they must be punished for it. What we have, what we receive, what we are, and what makes us, like that texter said, your life changes because you're a politician, because the people say we are willing to share some of what we are paying you, use it to solve your problems and all of that, and then you forget about us. Doesn't make sense.
Okay, Ezekiel.
All right, so upon Weah is on the board, his record being tested. What stands out for me in Liberia is how small the population is. They're about 5.19 million per the 2021 report that came, and about over 60% of the population less than 25 years. It tells you how exuberant the population is, and the fact that issues of job and education will be at the forefront of the elections. Because if you have over 60% of your population being under 25 years, then education is very key. And George Weah took a cue from Ghana. He started some free tuition at the university level for his citizenry. So I'm sure he studied the demography of his country and realized that majority of my people are less than the age of 25. This is the time to catch them young, and they shall be yours forever. Give them the education they need at this tender age, so that you build at least a semi-educated society in the near future. And like my brother said, about 50% of the people are in the poverty line, about 30% extra are also on the verge of poverty. So it tells you the economic situation in Liberia as well. But at least he's been a young one, started professionally as a footballer, and then becoming a president. That's a message of hope to me, that irrespective of where you start, you can actually epitomize by reaching whichever heights you want to reach. The person contesting him is the former vice president to His Excellency Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. So he's around 78 years? 78 years. So he feels it's his last chance at power. So definitely he's actually very strong on the George Weah, attacking him left, right, center. But on the day, we hope to see the outcome. What is important for me, like I said, is that a population of about more than 60% being less than 25 years, issues of job and education should be at the forefront of the Liberian politics. So yes, I mean, they should take care of that and try to help them.
And I don't think that the people of Liberia are really looking at that, especially with what Adele mentioned. They are more concerned about the war crimes courts that they were requesting that the president set up, which he has refused to. But Joseph says when he comes into power, he's going to do it. So I think that's what he's using to buy the hearts.
What prevented his government from
he doesn't want to condone, you know, because at the end of the day, they want to find out, or they want to prosecute the people that were behind the conflicts that kept on happening.
He was the vice president.
Who, Joseph? Are you talking about Joseph?
The opponent.
Yeah, Joseph Boakai. Yeah, he was the vice president.
And now you come back. You see what they do? When they are in power, they firstly do nothing. When they come back, they suddenly they know what to do.
Right, okay, Adele, thank you so much for being here. Ezekiel, thank you for your time. Viewers, thank you for your messages, and please make sure that you don't tune out because there are so many things lined up for you today as well. And so my guest today for Newsflash have been Adele Umar Ibrahim, who is a communications team member from the National Democratic Congress, and Dr. Ezekiel Ejekum Obeng, who is a communications team member from the New Patriotic Party. And then before I go, just to remind you that yesterday during Newsflash, the MPP rep mentioned, the MPP rep, how can I forget his name? Anyways, so he did mention in relation to ECG, the whole ECG issue, that it looks like the CEO, the MD, the managing director, is being sabotaged. People are trying to, you know, cut his legs short here and there because the way issues keep on coming. And then this man, it looks like this man is really working. He's really doing his very best to keep, you know, things running smoothly and all. It looks like he's being sabotaged. And then here again, we have news of the Inspector General of Police also being sabotaged here and there. Nobody can really tell exactly what is going on. But then this is what I will end with, that at the end of the day, it all starts with us. We need to be very mindful. We need to be very, very careful. And I mean, the future lies in our hands. But if you don't like somebody, it doesn't necessarily mean that the person's not doing a good job. We should look at what's the inputs that the person in power is putting into making our lives better. And let's stop cutting people's legs short. Thank you very much. I hope you were sick and stay with us right here on Prime Morning coming up.